Showtime in 5.
Cool, got it.
Hashtag Showtime.
Lucas just discovered Twitter, and he's actually been against it for a long time, but now he's realizing that he likes it a whole bunch.
Hashtag and they all follow me.
He has like 160 followers. He also doesn't know how to use hashtag yet.
Hashtag I'm the master of all that is Twitter. Hashtag bow to me. Hashtag all your base is mine. Hashtag Twitter is my jam. Hashtag I will tweet this later and the internet will collapse upon itself and then...
What? You stopped. Did you have a stroke?
I ran out of characters.
You don't run out of characters in real life, dude. There's no character limit to speech. We do an hour show where we just talk.
Hashtag says you.
No, that says everyone. That's just the way it works. Okay, can we start the show, please? Because I would love to end this conversation. I have to deal with this all the time.
Hashtag I'm rejecting your reality and replacing it with my own.
That doesn't compute. Oh my god. Do you have the show notes, please? Show notes.
Here's the notes.
And they're all hashtag. You know what? I'll be right back, okay? Okay. Also, hashtags aren't tic-tac-toes. Stop hashtagging the word tic-tac-toe. That's not how it worked. Whatever.
It's a tic-tac-toe sign.
Listen to The Rack Show at VoxVii.com. The spine from steam-powered giraffe says so.
Listen to Conrad and Lucas take geek culture off the shelf and show it to you.
I'm still really impressed the way he does that.
What?
The way he counts us in like a professional. It makes us feel like
He's
we're professional.
just watched a lot of BTS on DVDs.
Still, it's impressive. Okay. I mean, I would be like, one go. How come you haven't gone
You know what we
yet?
said in film school, Corey? You didn't need to pay for film school. All you needed to do is get all the Lord of the Rings extended copies and just watch all the behind the scenes footage.
Which I have.
It's pretty much
It's
a film
good
school.
stuff.
It really is. My film school
Yeah,
teacher
it's
said
awesome.
it's pretty much film school in a box. I don't know why you
With
paid.
Orlando Bloom.
I don't know why you're paying $40,000 a year to listen to me. Halfway through my education, he told me this.
But of course, that is not the case.
No.
At all. It was just a joke.
But you should get that.
You should. It's actually really good. Hi.
And then you won't hit those sticks really hard.
We're done.
Okay.
Hi. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 2 of The Rack Show, which you can watch on VoxVii.com, as well as TheRackShow.com.
And YouTube.
And the YouTubes.
You can see us on YouTubes.
Yeah, plural.
And where else? Well, we're
All
also on
sorts of places.
Twitter.
Yeah,
and
Twitter, Instagram, all the Rack
Instagram.
Show, one word. RackShow.com will take you to our Facebook page.
I've gotten
and link
into
us there.
Twitter the last week.
I know, you're
It's been
very
pretty cool.
excited about it.
I have fans that are now celebrities like on
He's
MTV.
overexcited about
That was
it.
pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
She liked me as well. I think she just blanket.
No, I think she liked the Rack, and she liked you, and she liked me.
Possibly.
Because is Corey, is she a fan of you? Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. I guess.
It was us.
He's very excited about it. Anyway,
What are we doing here?
I don't even know. I got distracted because you started talking about Twitter.
What else happened with you this
Hashtag
week?
confused.
What else happened with you this week?
I might be getting full-time at my job. So
That's cool.
I will keep everyone posted on that. I'm pretty excited
If you
about
don't know,
it.
Conrad is a radio DJ up in an area called Port Huron.
Yep.
On a station that nobody listens to here.
Well, you
'Cause we
can't get it here. So, but 96.9
I called you last
WBTI, you did.
It was funny.
You gave me a request and I needed it
Yeah.
because nobody was calling me. There was this giant thing happening that was detracting everybody away from listening to radio. It was really annoying.
And I decided I was going to throw you a curveball because we were just the rest of the guys were playing a board
You
game.
can't throw me a curveball though because I know you. We just played off of each other.
And it was really funny because I requested all about the bass, and he's like, "So are you all about the bass?" I'm like, "No, I'm mostly indifferent about the bass." And we just went into our normal.
It was like a 30-second bit.
It was like we go into
was
our
awesome.
normal cadence improv stuff. And then he was like, "Okay, thanks, Lucas," and he hung up. And I'm just trying to still talk to him. Remember?
Because I had stuff to edit, dude. I'm sorry. I couldn't keep it going. I know you're used to that.
But it was funny.
Yeah, so it was
And
funny.
you'll never hear it because it's on the radio.
Yeah, fortunately. And I didn't save it. You played Zombicide for the first time.
That was really cool. We finally did. It was so expensive. It took a while. But William, my cousin, and the dude that brings me water and stuff, he bought it, and it was a lot. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Lucas was already thinking about creating characters for everybody in the VoxVii team.
with it, and you can make your own weapons. We found out they give you the weapon cards.
That's awesome.
Blank weapon cards, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
We're probably going to play it again today.
So that's our big news. We'll probably talk more about it on the Vox, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I would love to introduce our guest to you because he's been patiently waiting, kind of staring off at Jomar, asking why he's sitting because he's not supposed to during a production. Jeremy Olstyn, man, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing all right. How you guys doing?
Yeah, doing well. Olstyn. Yeah?
Olstyn.
Yeah.
All right, I did say it right, but then I second guessed myself about that.
Now, we've worked with you before. We came and saw you. You work at
Warren Consolidated Schools.
Warren Consolidated
A
Schools.
public school for high school students.
Very cool. For high school students.
High school students.
And we came and talked to your radio class, right?
Oh yeah, they loved it, by the way.
It was
Awesome.
a lot of fun for
We
us.
actually saw a few of your students at Yomicon.
Yeah, they came up and said hi.
Yeah, so it was really
Really cool.
Yeah, they really enjoyed the fact that, you guys are doing a podcast and now you're doing video. But at the time you were doing the audio thing,
Yep.
and it was mostly radio students that you were talking to. And, a lot of them have been struggling with this idea of how can I still do this after high school if I don't necessarily want to do radio for a career
Yep.
like you do. What could I do with that? And so,
it.
some of them are just like, I didn't even really understand what podcasting was until those guys.
Kind of show them how versatile your education you're giving them is, like even more so than out of the normal cast.
Well, I mean, look, I'd like to think they're all going to go into radio or TV or film.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But, the two that did are both here, so.
Corey and Amy actually are both former students of yours,
right, yeah.
and which is funny because we were just talking about how Amy came to us in a completely different avenue. She didn't come through Corey, she didn't come through Jeremy. We actually got Amy through Lucas's sister.
Yeah.
So when you get tired of them, we can just make
Just
a pipeline.
there you
of
go.
students
Yeah,
from
awesome.
to Conrad and Lucas, and that'll be
Hey,
awesome.
we are starting up an internship program. We can talk about
There you
that.
go.
And we're expanding too. Mm-hmm. Conrad always like, what else can we do? What else can we do and put our creativity into?
We're just ADD. We just want to do everything. But we are actually starting to go talk to other high schools. We're going to start that actually probably after the summer. Something like that,
we
or-
could do it for the rest of the school year, which goes to June. If they want to book something now, they have to talk to Corey. That email is Corey, Corey. It'll be right down here, right, Corey? At VoxVii.com.
VoxVii.
We'll talk to classes. They have to book it because we work jobs also, so we sort of
Yep.
have to know ahead of time.
But we would love to come talk to any class
Yeah,
that would
it's a
have
lot of
us
fun.
and,
We
and
really
give
enjoy
you
it.
what knowledge we have to help you go out into the world and flourish.
Absolutely.
It'd be amazing.
I like the way you said that. You have to talk to Corey, so sorry about that. But,
Yeah.
you can work
It's
out.
just such a chore.
Yeah.
Corey, Corey, we love you. By the way.
Talk to Corey and we'll come and visit you. It's fun. We enjoy it.
But we know that your belief is that people don't have to be a cog or a gear inside the big machine to make content. You're hoping people know that they can go out there and do their own thing and create their own art.
Yeah, well, I'm a big believer in story first. And
Absolutely.
If you've got a story to tell, you don't have to be limited by the technology that you can't afford.
Definitely not. Look at this.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm looking around here, and you guys embrace that too, clearly. But there's this gear envy. People that have gear
Yeah,
envy, and
absolutely.
it starts young. High schoolers come up and it's like, well, what kind of cameras are we going to be using? I'm like, look, calm down for a second,
Absolutely.
Mr. Spielberg, because we've got a camera that will record whatever you put in front of it. Do you have a good story, though, is really
Absolutely.
the question. And if you do, then people are going to want to see what you're doing.
My hero was Kevin Smith. I know he's not a great director, but he embraces that idea. I just wanted to find people that were like my friends, and then I'm going to find a camera. It doesn't matter, because he found his first one in, I believe, 16 millimeter, Super 16,
Yeah.
which was, back then, those were the crappy cameras.
Right.
That's the cheapest thing you could get back in the film days. And he's like, I'm going to film it in my job.
Right.
What was it? $20,000?
$26,000 on his credit card. It cost more back then, but that was the cheapest thing you could probably make back in those days. Now it's even cheaper, the entry level. You can use your cell phone and an iPhone audio. iPhone audio is great. Our first season, half of it's iPhone audio, or a phone audio that we just put in front of it for backup. And nobody noticed.
A lot of radio interviews happen on iPhones. That's how advanced the technology is in our devices these days.
But Lucas, that's the problem with getting old. I don't know if you're aware of this, but the kids these days, they don't know what it was like.
Yeah.
I came up editing on reel-to-reel tape and audio where you had to make physical cuts with a razor blade, and the technology was so expensive, you couldn't have it at home.
No.
Right? You couldn't make your own movie with your own computer, and now you can do that. But
Absolutely.
I guess if I had one frustration it's about teaching is that kids don't understand that, and no matter how easy we make it or how affordable, they still have an excuse why they can't tell their story.
the school that I went to for film to do that kind of stuff.
What is the name of that school, Lucas?
Well, it's called Full Sail. You can check it out at fullsail.com.
Because he talks about it all the time. But, you guys have done a really good job of brainwashing Lucas, by the way. He loves your guys' education.
I want to be. I want to be one of their heroes.
Film school is actually his new nickname. We just gave it to him today.
I forgot. Oh, we had to sort of learn from the bottom up what it would take to make a film back then. The class actually before me still had to do reel to reel as their first thing, so they understood the progression. We started off with just using film,
right?
And it started off with just a camera, a regular SLR camera, and we shot film to understand how that works. And then we went over into video, broadcast video. We used those cameras, and then we shot our first 16 millimeter Super 16, which is there's the little the little holes on the side.
Yep.
It only has holes on one side. The other side they actually use for audio, and that's where they record it.
And now I know.
That's what Super 16 is.
I didn't know that.
And you have to now we can shoot as much as we want because it's digital, but we had to do the math and make sure we didn't go over budget because we couldn't afford more film.
Film was expensive.
Exactly. It was, I think, almost $200 to $300 for 11 minutes for my 32 project, and we did 32 millimeter for our final thesis in film. And we never got to go back to digital. Digital came right after I got out of school, and all of a sudden I was like, "What's
because Lucas is deceivingly old."
I am.
Right.
I know.
But yeah, it's sort of crazy. And I think that would be cool if schools could sort of show, at least go back to the last generation, say this is what we used to be, and now it's this, so they have that understanding and respect.
Understanding and that appreciation, and I'm guessing because you're such a strong advocate of that in your classes, you probably teach that to your students.
About that and how cameras actually work. I mean, they understand that yes, you point it and shoot it at something, but
and
that's
it records
about where
stuff
it ends when they walk in, which is good because if they already knew it all, then what would I do? In front of them. But I think in that democratization of filmmaking and podcasting and really which is changing radio, I think for the better. There's so much content, how much of it is actually a good story and valuable, and then and can you find it? How do people find you if they're interested in the stuff that you're talking about?
It took a lot of work. A lot of work branding ourselves.
Our idea for us, and the sort of we talked about when we started the show 3 years ago, is that we're not going to rely on the internet, even though that's our forum.
Right. We're
not going to rely on search engine. Everybody keeps calling it, say search engine optimization or SEO, they call it. Right. Do this, and you need to put, you need to. Another suggestion that we always got is you need to have transcripts of the whole entire show typed out so they can search the show when they're looking for their topic. Right. And we did a really grassroots old study.
Yeah, we kind of did
in front of your face. We're gonna make friends with you and you're gonna like
marketing, especially because myself, Corey, Mike, we have radio promotions backgrounds, so we know what it's like to go out amongst the people, set up a table, and talk to them, one-on-one. And I think that's where Lucas and I really flourish. Is that we kind of built our fan base from the ground up and lucked out into the Steamtopia convention that we end up going to. Yeah, and by the way, we are at the Phoenix Cafe in Hazel Park, which you can find on the Phoenix Cafe, hazelpark.com. More information about that. One of the proprietors here, Michael Wiggins, who's actually here and he's amazing. He really helped back us and helped kind of push us forward. We would not be where we are today if we didn't get into that convention. So
absolutely, and the idea is to find people that like what you do and find a place for them. So. Yeah, Corey was just a fan, and Jomar was just a fan, and it's like, well, we like you. You guys want to do some work with us?
And they're like, we like you too, sure. And they've put up with us ever since.
They're still here
for some reason.
And it's been fun, and that's what it is. It's finding something you all like, going to do it together, and then
having fun with it.
Yeah, and having fun with it. So.
And I think, as you said, it's about the content, it's about the story, it's about what we put out there, and I think that we're always striving to have good content. One of the reasons why we wanted you on the show, because we know that you are good content.
Well, yeah, of course.
You've made some really great stuff.
You just show up and good content. Yeah. All over the table.
It's content diarrhea. It's all over the place, but it's good diarrhea. Okay, I'm done.
So you teach radio and film. Did we say the stations?
89.1 FM.
Yes.
Yes.
And if you live in Warren or Sterling Heights, that's about the range.
Can we get it here?
You probably could in the parking lot.
Okay.
So we're at 100 watts, which is really small for a radio station.
Very, very small. Actually, same as my wattage for my college station, WQAC.
Where was that?
That was in Alma College.
Okay, Alma College.
Yep.
So we're actually getting a larger coverage area soon. The FCC approved us for an increase in our wattage, and we're getting new antennas made. So we're doing a fundraiser. If anybody is interested in backing our radio station, go to WPHS.com. Sorry, I had to plug that.
That's totally fine, and we'll get a little
What's the fundraiser? How's that work?
Once a year we do, and it's coming up May 11th through the 15th, but once a year we do our annual pledge drive. So it's a typical non-commercial radio station pledge drive. That's one of the few ways that we can actually make money. And that's where our listeners call in, and they literally just donate $30 or more, and you get a t-shirt. So
spiffy.
Okay, what's the t-shirt look like?
Well, I'll have to send you a picture, because I can't even describe it. I didn't
Well,
design
with the
it.
t-shirt like here, if we
Pass
get
that
a
duty
picture.
off to somebody else.
We had a graphic somewhere.
This is what the t-shirt
Maybe
looks
over,
like?
over Lucas's face,
Now.
right here.
No? Okay.
No.
Corey's like, no.
Corey's telling us no, that's not happening.
I'm just gonna look dumb right now.
We'll link it in the comment section or something like
That's
that.
cool,
We'll
though.
be able to show it off.
Okay.
And Corey's been telling us that you would like some people to maybe host an hour of this radiothon
I think that would be great, yeah.
by the names of Conrad and Lucas.
That would be wonderful.
Oh.
If you guys would be interested.
What's really funny is that this is what I do 5 days a week, so for me it wouldn't be that big a
Right.
deal.
Not
I want to
big.
see how Lucas does on radio. Look at me, he's laughing at the very idea of it.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Well, I'm sure in your career, Conrad, you've worked at some smaller stations starting
I'm working
out.
at a smaller station now, and yes, I absolutely have.
So the technology that we have and the limitations at our radio station will not shock you.
I will
you
not
can take
judge.
one caller at a time.
I know,
That's it.
I know
Really?
all sorts of
We could take zero,
different
so-
levels of technology. As long as, like you said, as long as you got the content out there, that's the first battle.
Wait a second. So if we're on this radio station, we could take callers?
Yeah.
We could,
one
yes.
at a time.
One at a time.
And there is a delay, so you guys can't call in and just start cussing them out because
No,
it won't make it to air.
we wouldn't do that.
It won't make it
we
to
wouldn't
air.
That's
do
funny.
That. It's cool. I can edit the stuff. Don't worry. We're good.
Okay,
We're all
cool.
set. He'll just be there. I'll be like, okay, talk at this when I tell you to. Go.
Good at that.
And then, yeah, he is actually very good at just talking.
Just talking.
Just talking.
What I do.
Every day.
And you also teach film, though.
Yeah, television and
Very cool.
film. So in my beginning classes, we do it more of kind of a roundtable discussion about this is what it takes to make live or as live studio productions, TV shows. And then in the advanced classes, we do more kind of standalone shorts. And we found that as a way, again, story drives content, and content is what drives people to watch. So they used to do kind of a talking heads daily announcements for the high school.
Okay.
It was just in the studio and two kids reading teleprompters, and I'm like, this is not exciting at all.
Yeah.
So now what we do is we put that into a narrative almost as a commercial. So you watch the beginning of a story, then you see your daily announcements, and then you see the end of the story, which keeps the
that's
viewer
cool.
all the way through it.
Yeah, I think I remember, I don't know if Lucas was in on this, but you had myself and Jomar actually come in and talk to some of your students
Yes.
about a script that they were putting together. They
Yes.
actually acted the script out in front of us, and then you're like, what is your guys' input?
Right,
and I
right.
can't remember exactly what Jomar
wasn't
and I
there.
said. I think it was, I think my input was like, okay, the very end is very detractive from what you're trying to say. I hope we gave them good advice. Yeah, Jomar's giving me a thumbs up that we did, so that's good.
It's the same
When did you
advice
guys
I
do
would've
this?
given, so
Okay,
I love
great,
it.
awesome.
I love
When
it.
did you guys do
I
this?
don't know, maybe you were...
That was cool!
What was that?
I have absolutely no
That was
idea what
CB,
that was.
wasn't it?
Was that
Wiggins,
from outside?
Wiggins is just walking off. I have no idea if he had anything to do with it or not.
No.
but,
Wait a second. Somebody. Okay, I'm sorry. We're in the Phoenix Cafe. We have an overhead
It's a
speaker
walkie-talkie, right?
that's picking up
Citizens
rave.
Yeah, that sounded like
A trucker.
a trucker.
Yeah. That's interesting. We
You
can't
guys
call
have your
Wiggins.
own fans. I have mine, too.
And yeah, now we know that could potentially be a thing unless Wiggins is messing with us, which is completely possible. But
Now
yeah.
everybody's-
Now they're all wandering over to the soundboard over there.
If you
seeing
guys
they can
all
fix
go
it.
over there, there's nobody for the cameras.
Everybody just
They're just like
out the
lemmings.
camera shot real quick.
Now, I can't remember if we touched on this, but in case we didn't, you're looking to start a radio station in Ferndale.
Yeah, that's
tell us
something
more about that.
We've been working a group that I'm part of. We started this a while ago. The FCC had opened up a filing window for low power FM. So these are small radio stations, usually community oriented. They have to have an educational mission. So schools could start one of these particular stations, or communities, or nonprofit groups. So we started a nonprofit group. We did all the legwork, and we're in discussions right now with the city of Ferndale. We haven't solidified that, but the FCC has said yes to the radio station.
Okay.
So now it's a matter of making sure that we have a home for the physical facility, and then finding sponsors in Ferndale that would be willing to underwrite us because
sure there'd be.
we're going to be starting from zero.
Yeah.
We've got no capital, we've got no cash, we've got no equipment. But
Fun fact, whenever a radio station actually flips format and they make a big deal about how they're playing no commercials, they're playing all music, that's because they have no commercials to play. They're not making any money. So you think they're doing you a favor? Unfortunately, I'm going to burst your bubble. They're not. They just don't have anything to actually make money off of yet.
Well, depending on your point of view, I now only work with non-commercial stations, so I think I'm lucky in that way. But you still got to have money. Any way you look at it, you still have to have a way to fund it. So that's something that I'm working with this group on, and we're seeing what's going to happen. We should know within the next couple of months if it's going to.
That's cool.
That's awesome. Keep us posted on
How
that too.
far does low-powered radio? Because I'm not a radio guy, so how far does it go?
It's kind of going to be the equivalent, and maybe even a little bit less than what we have at the high school station. So that one can cover Warren and Sterling Heights, which isn't bad, given that Warren is the third largest city in terms of people that live there in the state. But the one in Ferndale would most likely cover Ferndale, a little bit of Royal Oak, maybe Berkeley, Huntington Woods, Pleasant
Hazel
Ridge.
Park?
Hazel Park, definitely.
So I can get it.
Yeah.
We can get it here.
So would that be 80 wattage? Like how much wattage would it?
It would probably be a little bit less than that.
A little less.
But the coverage is going to be really. We're really looking at a way to put together a community station, play local and independent music artists, local and independent talk shows. We're not trying to do anything controversial. We're just trying to really have a way to get music out there and a way to get community information out there. There's a lot of radio stations in Detroit, but because of the commercial landscape and the size of our market, it's not like they can just go out and cover, Ferndale High School's football game.
Yeah.
But we could do that at a small independent station that's just really looking to cover the community. And I think that's a fair thing to do. Or if there's a snow emergency, we had those huge floods last year. Man, it would have been great.
Hazel Park was actually underwater, under 3 feet of water consistently throughout the entire city. It was insane.
So if you had a very local radio station that could easily and quickly get that information out and tell people even simple things like, don't park on the street tonight because we have to, plow the snow or something. I think that could be helpful, and it's something that everybody already has in their home.
Absolutely.
It doesn't really matter your age. You probably have a radio.
Or in your car.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely in your car, right? So.
Well, I think there's this belief that a lot of people have that radio is kind of going the way of the dinosaur because of how YouTube has taken over, or how internet has taken over kind of movies and television and everything like that. And I think what people forget is the local impact that radio has. The reach of radio a few years ago was like 98%. Like it was very saturated. You ask someone today what that is and they'll be like, oh, maybe 70, 75 maybe. No, it's actually 94. Many people still listen to radio. It's not going anywhere. The fact that it's so local and all this information getting out there, and that you're right, Detroit used to be a top 10 market, used to be a major market. People end their careers here because it's that big of a place to come to outside of Chicago, Los Angeles, Atlanta, New York. Detroit's a pretty big player in the game. So this even smaller radio station that can focus on this smaller area, get that information out there, I absolutely think that it's something that is needed and could actually be very successful.
Well, in an area like Ferndale and then bleeding over into Hazel Park, there's definitely that kind of independent spirit.
Absolutely.
And amongst creatives and musicians.
Yes.
And I think kind of the music that they would appreciate to hear that they're not going to hear on commercial radio. Because it's not proven.
Yeah.
But if we don't have anything to prove financially, then there's no problem.
Yeah, you're not limited by
exactly. That. Yeah, it's not a limiting factor. So I think it could be really successful.
Absolutely. Well, the creatives in Ferndale, in Royal Oak, I know we've had a few on the show here that are from Hazel Park. I'm sure they would absolutely appreciate the opportunity to get their art out there.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm really excited for this. So what do you think that's what happened?
Well, we should know something from the city, I would imagine, in the next couple of months. There was the city manager there is out on maternity leave, so it's just been, you can't really rush certain things.
No.
Yeah.
And pregnancy and having children is one of those things.
Babies are going to happen.
Yeah, babies are going to happen.
On their own time. You can't really force it.
So, we're waiting, and then our hope is that by this summer we'll be able to go into fundraising mode. If it doesn't happen by summer, it probably won't happen just because, it takes time to raise that kind of interest and money, because people right now don't know about it. We're not publicizing it really. I mean, this is the only place I've ever spoken about it publicly.
You heard it here first, folks.
Absolutely.
On the Rack Show.
We broke a couple stories now.
There you go.
Right.
So what's it take to create a radio station? Because I'm really interested in this idea. What do you need? Because like for us to do the show, we need cameras and we need lights. What's it take to put up a small radio station like that?
Well, the biggest thing is the FCC's approval.
Okay.
If they don't say yes to what you're doing, you can't do it.
Okay.
Legally.
Right. Well, there's people that have tried, and what they do in the United States is they arrest your equipment, which means that they would just literally take this microphone away from you, and you wouldn't have it anymore.
Well, it's not ours, so it's
and then it can go up into, you'll never be able to own a radio station if you're a pirate and you get caught. They could fine you. They could put you in jail. I mean, those are things that could happen.
Yeah,
but
the
it
FCC
always
is a
starts
big
with
deal.
arresting the equipment because as much as we don't like it, and people say, well, it's a freedom of speech issue. It's like, yes. However, you've got other radio stations out there that are on certain frequencies and they're entitled to a certain amount of space. And if you encroach on that, you're really encroaching on something that they actually had to pay a lot of money for too.
Yeah, it's like
that's why when you were approved at 89.1 for your new bandwidth to expand a little more.
That had to go through the FCC.
Yes.
And they denied it the first couple of times, so we had to develop a directional pattern that looks like just a strange shape. And the upside is they said yes. The downside is that now we have to have a custom-made antenna. And if it were just a 600 watt station with a omnidirectional antenna pulling out signals in all directions, so you're looking at like $2,000. But because it's custom made, it's $30,000.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, so it's a huge difference in price because they will only ever make one antenna like that. And they have to they model it first, they actually build a scale model, they test it, and then they make the bigger version of it.
I didn't know that you could do that.
Yeah.
Is that how we don't go over to Canada? Like, they make a custom
Yes, that's why that's why bandwidth is very specific where you go to. Like, you can carry a signal with you sometimes if you actually tune in Detroit and then travel to Port Huron.
Right.
You might be able to carry 89X pretty well going into 89X is a Canadian radio station around here. But then if you actually were in Port Huron and tried to turn 89X directly, you might not get it as well because you didn't bring that signal with you.
There's actually a treaty that was set up a long time ago that shows what frequencies essentially Detroit is entitled to and which ones Windsor is entitled to.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, you remember when nothing worked and then there was the cameras?
No, I don't. Nope, because we're super professional and none of that happened.
And we all blame it on Jomar.
There was no weird edit, probably.
He still found a chair. Look at that.
Jomar! Jeez. Sorry.
At least I got my one story about how that one weird trick can get you $1 million. Right?
There you go. Yeah,
absolutely.
totally. We're not going back for that, though.
Nope.
You can all blame Corey and Jomar for that.
Yep.
Good job,
Good job, guys.
Corey.
I like how we like, don't sit.
Don't sit.
You have to be near the camera, so he found a chair so he could put it near the camera.
Listen, that's problem solving right there. I got to give him props for that.
Anyways,
He
yeah,
did
absolutely.
that.
Okay, let's go back into this.
Anyway, back to Jeremy Olstyn. Sorry about that. Had a little bit of a hiccup
Writer,
there.
director. Ready?
Yes,
Here it goes.
writer, director, and actor for First to Last Film. Tell us a little bit about that.
All of that sounds so much more impressive than it actually is.
It's a lot. You do a lot of stuff.
No, and I like doing it, but I mean, there's this reality check that I always have to put myself through. We're in Detroit. We're not in Hollywood. And I'm interested in the story, whether or not it ever really goes anywhere in terms of distribution or, who sees it, or is this my method to get into the big leagues?
Yeah.
Because I like to tell stories, I like the art of film, and that's enough for me right now. Yeah, it would be great to turn it into a full-time job, and that's why I keep pursuing it. But directing and writing, I think I got into filmmaking late compared to a lot of my peers. So I don't know that I had the stamina to be a grip, but filmmaking from the directing point of view, that just intrigues me. And writing, that's something I know. I just submitted. I can send you guys a clip actually if you want to use it here.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I sent a short film script off to this 48 that they were doing in Toledo. And the Arts Commission in Sylvania, which is just outside of Toledo, they're putting on a 48, and they're like, "Could you write us a script?" And so that we can put together a film to show people how to incorporate the things that they need to incorporate in their 48.
Very cool.
So I did that, and I saw the cut. And there's definitely things I would have changed if I had been the director, but I wasn't. And this thing still got produced, and I get to see my work that I wrote and the way another director interpreted it.
Very cool.
It was cool to do that.
Now you said that First Last Film started with you and your friends doing a 48-hour film festival.
Yeah, it just so happens that the guy that moved in next door to me, young couple, he and his wife, and he was into making movies. And he had started making a feature length that he swears to me someday will be done. This is a movie that's 6 years in the making. It's called Decadence, and it's a horror film. And so he and I just got to talking over the fence one night, and we're like, hey, let's do something together because we're both into filmmaking, and you just happen to move in next door to me, so why aren't we doing this? We got another guy together named Gavin, who is a professional video editor, Gavin Bates, and he's also a very talented writer. He wrote Hooked, which is one of the films that I directed.
And I saw Hooked,
which we watched, and it was hilarious.
Very funny.
This is one of my favorite right here. This is, I tried to get a real dog, but they just wouldn't ship it to me in a box. So I got this guy. His name's Trouble. I got a few other things coming in today. But it's just taking so long. UBS always takes this long, and I need to get expedited shipping or something. This is my roommate, Mike. How long has it been, Mike?
Oh, no, man, in the zone, going hard.
Yeah, he does that all the time. It's kind of annoying.
He would order all of his electronics and clothes and things online. Then he started having other things delivered.
He'll buy an outfit or a pair of shoes at the mall and have them shipped to our house. He buys groceries online.
And you can do it separately, right?
I mean,
Each one in a box.
yeah, it's gonna cost you.
Oh, that's fine. I got cash. I got plenty of cash.
My next door neighbor, Charles Brandt, who was the one making this horror film, he brought one of his co-workers from Best Buy and said, this guy could act in it. And so now that guy lives in Wisconsin, and Charlie lives in Kalamazoo because his wife is a doctor now. But whenever we want to shoot something, we get back together and we shoot it. So
That's good. It was really good.
Well, it was award winning.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, yeah, it was.
With that one. So
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6 awards.
Nothing. Not
6
big.
awards.
Not a big deal. It's just 6.
But again, everything in context. They're local film festivals.
Doesn't matter. People like it.
Still,
And an
those are
audience gets to see
accolades,
it.
and you deserve them,
That's
sir.
cool. I'm into collecting laurels. I mean, they make the resume look good.
Yeah.
And as a filmmaker, it's cool to get awards because it's like, oh yeah, but it's also I get more fulfillment if that somebody watches my stuff.
Yes, and having an audience, and it's kind of cool when you do a comedy because when they get it because
Absolutely.
they laugh.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to say that comedy is the easiest to shoot because you got to really have an actor that can pull it off, and then so much of it is editing.
Mm-hmm.
If you get the timing right, it's funny. If you get it wrong, they don't get it.
And I think Corey actually is really good at that for somebody that just picked up editing
Yeah, absolutely.
3 weeks ago.
Corey's got some skills.
Because Conrad and I do skits that are a lot of improv, but if the camera doesn't have the timing to keep up with us, which is the camera's him essentially,
Right.
he's our third actor. in this.
Yeah.
We just look like dummies.
Right.
So
Always focused on camera.
yeah. So no, editing's really important when it comes to that
Absolutely.
stuff.
So, having a good team is important. I'm not huge into doing 48s myself anymore, but there's definitely a reason to do them. It's the way to get started. It's the way to establish
Absolutely.
a crew. It's a way to try something and to see, can you do it?
We
Under pressure.
have a method for that. When you just do a little bit the first time, you see if you like it, right? What's that method called?
You're gonna no, man. We say it every single episode. You
Just
really
do
make
it.
me.
Come on.
We call it just the tip.
And you figure out if it's gonna work for you.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. Our first podcast was like, let's just sit around the microphone and talk. We didn't have topics ready. Can we do
We
this?
sat down and we BS'd, and it ended up working.
And now we're
enough.
here. So you should just try things and
Yes,
see if you can do it.
absolutely.
You should be like, if you have that, could we do it? You have to go to the next step and be like, let's just try to do it. It doesn't have to be good. The action of doing is better than the action of thinking about it.
Worst case scenario, it doesn't end up working out, and you just go back to the drawing board and you try something else new.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you want the film to be done.
Absolutely.
You want that story to be told, and if you get to the point where your stuff is good, there are places. I don't know if you've heard of the Mitten Movie Project.
I actually know the people that run the Mitten for.
Okay, well, Connie,
yes.
who is awesome and one
great.
of my all-time favorites. She'll take local films that are good, and that's kind of a broad term. What does that really mean? She does look at production quality. I know for a fact she's rejected movies because they don't have good audio.
Yep.
or it's impossible to see the talent because there's no lighting.
Audio is important.
Yeah,
Lighting is
very,
important.
very, very important.
Yeah.
But what she does so well is she curates all of these locally, independently shot short films and gets butts in the seats so that people can watch them. And that's some of my greatest experience have just been watching the audience watch something that I worked on and see if they had any kind of a reaction to it. Not that I have to win, you know, you can be the best of the audience favorite for the month, but you know, just being able to say, yeah, it's screened in a movie theater and there was an audience there watching it is really cool.
I have a friend, and I was I'm going to plug him right now, Shane Sebo. In the beginning, they have this group that buys equipment. They're equipment guys.
Yeah.
And they buy equipment as a group, and they share it. One guy sort of has it all at his house, so if you need it, you go to his house. Mm-hmm. But he supplied the original equipment for our first season, all of the first season, and most of the second season we used his equipment until we could start affording our own. He does 48-hour film festivals, and he wins a lot of them. He's done the national one, and he's won on that one. He's part of the Mitten Movie Project. He sat on the Detroit Windsor International Film Festival. But it's just other. They don't have any film background, so you don't need to have a film background. This guy was a mechanical engineer. His best friend is a salesman that sells yearbooks, and they're just like, you know, what if we got some cameras and started just doing 48-hour film festivals? And then they did the week thing, and now they're looking at doing a feature. And it's been like 10 years, but they've been doing all these little things and working up to that and getting the equipment and getting the people, because the people are important. You can do your own film by yourself, but it's not as fun as getting your friends to work with you at that. Or somebody that likes the stuff.
Yeah, and it's really hard.
It is really hard. It absolutely.
I mean, you know, it's a weird, filmmaking is such a weird art because you can't, I mean, you can do it by yourself. But traditionally, it's you need somebody to do certain things. Like you need actors. Mm-hmm. Even if you think you're doing it yourself, unless you're doing a nature documentary, you're probably not doing it yourself. Because you got to follow around either actors or a human subject if you're doing a documentary. But you know, there's also this idea that nobody's really looking for me. You know what I'm saying? And that's, I think, one of the things that sometimes can be misleading about film festivals is that my stuff's going to get seen and then I'm just going to take off. And that does happen. Don't get me wrong. There's stories of filmmakers out there and they get that magical deal. Kevin Smith, right? They get the deal of all deals and they get to go on and be these super successful creative filmmakers. Yeah. But for most of us, that's not the way it's going to work. No. You've got to keep practicing your skill and honing your art and just keep doing it. And, you know, really, if you're still doing it 10 years later, that must mean you really love it.
Absolutely.
Even if you're not doing it as a career.
And even Kevin Smith talks about his beginnings. He never set out to make all that money or even get picked up at a film festival. His goal was just to zero out his account once he went into debt. Right. He spent 26, he'd like to make 26 back. Right. If he made 26.01, he's doing pretty good.
Yeah, he's good. He's in the black.
And then when he said he sat down with Miramax, the guy that had Miramax, Harvey Weinstein, and they offered him, what was it, $60,000 or $500,000?
For Mallrats?
For Clerks. Oh. He was just like, he wasn't going to even negotiate because they had planned that if they said 30, he's like, well, you know, maybe a little bit more, and then he went, oh, they offered him more than he was even ready to negotiate. I was like, yep. But that doesn't happen with everybody. He didn't set out to make that money. He just set out to not be in debt. Right. From after he was done with making this, this film. And that's the best thing you can do because he just wanted to do it with his friends and tell a story.
Yeah, I mean, and he did it on such a small budget, and a lot of the people working with him were his, friends and whatnot. And he's one of our people that we kind of model ourselves after. There are a few people that VoxVii as a company we idolize, and he's absolutely one of them. We got a bunch of people together that are our friends, and we wanted to do something cool and put out content, and we've been managing for 3 seasons, which is amazing.
We duct tape cameras to things and use bed sheets, and we make it.
Not stained bed sheets?
Right. Not stained bed sheets. So, and that's what it's about. It's not about... You're right. It's not about being these equipment mongers where you have the best, because just even if you have the best, if you don't have a good story, and if you don't have the art touch of being a director or a storyteller, I don't care if you use Magic Camera 64 or whatever it says. Right. It's not going to be a good film if you can't tell a story.
Yeah, and I think it's also, if you can find a way, one of the nice things about filmmaking is it's one of those arts where the tools that you're going to use if you want to do this narrative short film, every couple months you want to make a short, You can use those same tools, the cameras, the lights, and the microphones. You can use those to go out and make money. So, I mean, when I bought my big camera, which, you know, it's still nothing compared to what big cameras are.
Can you say what your big camera was?
It was it was a Panasonic 100. I forget the model. AG100. AG.
I worked with the AG100.
Okay, the AG-AF100 because I already had lenses for it. And lenses cost more than the camera after a while. But when I spent that money, and I think it was $3,500, and I bought the camera, I said, okay, all I need to do is pay this back. So then I started doing small projects for, there's an artist in Detroit, Megan Hears, who she does these really cool like installation arts, and like she makes her own paper, and then she'll set up this thing where the paper looks like it's breathing, and there's LED lights inside. Really cool stuff. But she wanted me to come and just kind of archive her work, because once you take down the installation, it's effectively not there anymore.
Yeah.
It's not like an oil painting where it'll be there forever. So that was, it was small, but it was something like, okay, I can get behind that. I don't want to go out, and nobody wants to whore out all their services and have to make a living that way. At least I don't. But to have that as a way that you can supplement your income and maybe at least pay off your camera.
And kind of even out.
Kind of nice.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I had to do a lot of that in the beginning. I did commercials, and I gripped on some commercials, and just to pay off some of the beginning equipment that I have. My camera, I mean, it's not really much, but it's a TI.
It's duct tape
Canon
to a
4Ti or T4i or whatever.
Duct tape to a tripod.
I break even.
I like that you care about equipment as much as I do. You can't remember the model.
Whatever. It shoots.
There's a T in there.
That's right. It's just
an I.
Yeah. Something. Whatever. It does what I need it to do.
Right.
And we're gonna upgrade again, just because it'll be easier if we get all the same camera.
That's right. Yeah.
If we get foot plates for all the camera, that'll be nice too, so we don't have to keep duct taping them to tripods.
Just little goals.
But we make it work until we have the money to do a little bit better.
Right.
But we want to do it now, so we're not going to wait for the money to come in.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, no, absolutely. And if you guys are out there, do that. Find your friends out there. If you're at a convention, we'll see you guys at convention. Find the other people at a convention. You already know how to make costumes. You can do skits with those costumes. You put them up on YouTube. It's not about winning awards. It's about people seeing your work.
It's about putting it out there.
I'll make a choice.
Yeah. You just go out there and do. Just basically.
Do this
just
stuff.
do it. Just be like Nike. Just do it.
What was your very first thing? What we call it, I always call it, in programming language, they call it the hello world. It's when you realize you ran your first program and hello world comes on the screen. And you're like, oh, I did that. What was your hello world film?
That I was involved in?
Yeah.
It's funny. I think
that you're directly in charge of. Like I would say, it's your baby.
I think I got into it a little bit backwards.
Okay.
I didn't think I wanted to be a filmmaker, or that I would want to do that as part of my career. I started out in radio, and I have a love for radio, obviously, still, but I wanted to get a master's degree. So I was looking for master's programs that would yield a fine arts degree, because you can make a lot of money with those. But no, I really wanted to learn more about filmmaking, and it was an online program that culminated in California and Los Angeles, putting together a short film, and
cool.
We all had to submit what would you want to do on the crew, and of course everybody wanted to be the director, and I thought that'd be cool. So I got to direct, and
oh, awesome.
Yeah, and they cast it locally. They brought in actors. We did location scouting locally, and I got to work with some amazing people that were also working on their master's programs, and those people had way more experience in filmmaking than I did. So it was like an education inside of an education.
Very cool
to do that.
And you said it right. I think the best education as far as filmmaking is doing. You can go to school. I went to school for it, but
where'd you go to school, Lucas?
I went to Full Sail, which you can see at fullsail.com or .edu. I guess I don't know what they're doing now, but
some website.
You don't have don't get down on yourself if you don't want to go to film school or afford to go to film school, or you already have a degree and you like yourself, you want to do something else. The best way to do this is get on a set with somebody, find somebody that's already doing it, find a 48-hour film festival and apply to be one of their teams. Go to your film festivals and find other guys that are doing this stuff. Because those are essentially conventions for film festivals.
There will be people who are probably thinking the same thing as you, that they want to do this as well. They just don't know how to go about starting.
And this goes for anything, any type of group you want to put together. Film, if you want to do a cosplay thing, if you want to sit and watch anime all day, find people that are like-minded. Surround yourself by those people, and then go and do stuff. Just do stuff.
Yeah, you can't just keep thinking about it.
Yeah, you can't.
You know,
you can't think
you're never
about
going to
it.
make a movie just thinking about it.
Absolutely not.
It doesn't work that way. You've got to go out and find, like you said, people that are interested, and then don't automatically say I'm the director, because those people are going to run away from you if you just say that. If you have no experience.
If you have no experience, never mind. I was about to yell at Lucas, but he has.
But if you've got experience, that's a different story. But on the first film that we did out there when I was in California, I'm like, I want to do audio, and they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, let me just be the boom op. Because I found out quickly that was something that was required for a good movie. And also, between takes with that super directional shotgun mic, I could listen to what the director was saying to the actors, and nobody else could hear that.
That's what they taught us in
That
film
is
school too.
sneaky.
If you want to learn what's going on a set, you're the boom op because you can hear everything.
Eavesdropping is fun. But seriously, I learned this guy, and I can't remember, I wish I could remember his name. He's one of our instructors. But he was talking to these actors, and I noticed he didn't really tell them to do anything. He was asking them questions. That's all he did. He wasn't happy with the performance. I could see that. But he didn't say, no, do it more like this. He just said, what would you do if you're in love with this guy and he's about to walk out the door? And that started a conversation that suddenly yielded results on screen. And I'm like, wow, that's what directing is. I had no idea. I mean, people always say they want to be the director, and then I ask them, well, what do you think you do as the director? Well, you tell people what to do. I'm like, not really.
No.
Not really. That's the AD.
Yeah, it's the AD. We don't have an AD. Oh, no, we do. He's sitting in a chair.
Hi, Jomar. Hi.
Did Jomar find the chair, by the way, or did the chair find Jomar?
I don't know.
You know what? That's like a chicken egg question. I don't even know how we can start answering that.
I wish we could. You know what? Here, let me have that camera. We'll put it back. This is what we're seeing.
What are we doing?
This is what we're seeing here.
Oh God.
This is what we're seeing.
Lord.
There's
That's them
there's
standing.
Amy.
Standing.
There's his camera and Mike. There's our director producer who's not happy with me moving the camera. And this is Jomar's camera, and he is
Sitting.
there
Can you see him in a chair?
in a chair.
Yeah.
And he's not supposed to.
There you go.
And we're throwing him under the bus for this, and it's better to stay in.
So now fix the camera, fix the shot.
Fix the shot.
Make sure you
There you go.
I hate you.
make sure you factor in enough headroom. You got this.
Some look space.
Okay.
Look space.
Look
Conrad,
space over
sit
here.
down.
This over there. All right.
See, we can be not funny too.
There you go.
In the weird web of life, too, Jomar, I never had him as a student, but he did go through the same high school, and
Really?
now he's a substitute teacher.
Yes, he is.
In my top 3, by the way, so he's like at the top of the list.
There you go.
He's a good guy. We
When
like
I
him.
call in sick, the computer calls him first.
Really?
You might have been top 1, but you're sitting right now, so
Yeah, he might put you to.
he might have
top
downgraded
2.
you a
I'm
little
just
bit.
going to hide all the chairs next time.
They're like, so you had Jomar as a teacher. What do you do? He's like, well, he sat behind the
He
desk
sat
all day."
down.
Really good at sitting.
Yeah.
He was,
Crossed his legs one direction,
he was texting a lot.
and the other.
Now, what do you
We're
do
playing
at
a
gym
game?
when you're a gym teacher?
You can't be a team.
Yeah, he,
Oh, okay.
he can't. He's not allowed to be a gym teacher.
Asthma.
You need specific aside from that,
Maybe need to know CPR
I think yeah,
or
like,
something
10 push-ups.
in case somebody has to take a dodgeball
Physical
to the
test.
chest.
something like that. Yeah, you need more certain-
We only scratched the surface of your actual work because we're getting into your head, which is awesome. Don't get us wrong. But tell us more about.
I want to bring this up because this
Yeah.
is actually my favorite thing. I did a documentary on Detroit, and I realized how much I liked doing it because I never had done that before.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with Detroit, my subject matter, and the artist that I was following around for a year. But
Also with just doing a
just
documentary.
the art form of creating a documentary and putting
Yeah.
information out there.
Yeah.
And you did one too, and I know what it's like to do one. I want to know what yours is about, because it looks like it won awards. Also, you just win awards.
He's an award-winning guy.
He's an award-winning guy.
Well, it's like anything else. You only write down the wins.
well-
You don't know how many festivals I entered to get those wins.
He's like, but no, it's
He just
still
casts
cool.
a wide net and hopes
Yeah,
something.
that's
Is,
what
but
you
it's
do.
called Strong from Detroit.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm just stuck for words. I'm just stuck for words. I can't see how Robert Bob promised to keep the school open, then all of a sudden change his mind.
Elementary school. Know that we are scholars first. We love and respect ourselves and each other, our parents and our teachers. We are the future for generations to come.
So the idea of the story came out of it seemed like it was a bigger deal at the time than it is now, but there's something called school of choice, where if you live in a particular county, so if you live in Wayne County, any school in Wayne County that is open to school of choice means that if I lived in Detroit, I could go to another school district and the money would follow that student.
Like Ferndale, they could come to Ferndale. That's not Wayne.
Right. So it's supposed to be, now if a school opened up beyond that, I don't know how that works, but typically it's based on the county.
Okay.
So at the school that I'm working at, you could come from anywhere in Macomb County and come to Cuzno. But what was happening was that we were seeing students come in from Detroit.
I know he didn't come up rich. I know he probably got the same background I got, but from a different area. Robert Bob, man, what would you do with your kids, Rob?
So I guess in a technical sense, they were illegally attending school in Warren. But they would put down an address or something, and maybe it was a cousin or a friend. But, you know, the system in Detroit has got some issues. I think everybody knows that. And so what I wanted to do was follow around a student that was in this situation.
Oh, that's cool.
And I tried putting out a kind of an open casting call, and I'm like, well, why doesn't any student who's doing something illegal want to come talk to a teacher about it? I can't imagine. But then what happened was there was a student in my class where it just happened to him as the school year went on. So his dad lost his job. They had an apartment. They were living in Warren, and they got evicted. And suddenly they had to move back to Detroit. And his name was Marcellus Strong. That's where Strong from Detroit.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a nice name.
It works.
That's good.
So,
Writes itself.
You know, I kind of followed him around a little bit. He talked about the difficulty he was facing because he and his dad had to live it. You know, they were staying with somebody else in Detroit. Technically, I think at that point he would have been considered homeless. So, you know, he's still allowed to continue to go to school. But it was interesting to talk to people in Detroit. You know, I interviewed some people that are experts in education. You know, they discussed with me some of the social issues and the socioeconomic issues that really have, you know, people think that Detroit, all that white flight ruined the city after the riots, and there's some debate whether or not they were even riots. But that really, we didn't see white flight in Detroit until the 80s, which I was surprised by. I'm like, I did not know that. I thought it was all because of the riots. We're like, no, that's kind of a myth. It really started to happen when they started forcing students to get on buses and go to other schools so they could make the schools more integrated. But, you know, when I was talking to some people who didn't want to be on camera, but someone that I knew, she said, yeah, we lived in Detroit, and our kids could not go to the school that they could walk to. They had to get on a bus and go to a different school. She said it wasn't a racial issue. We just wanted them to be able to walk to school, and they couldn't, so they had to leave the city. And how that kind of turned into now what we have is more educational flight, right? You know, it's people in Detroit, I don't care where you're from, you know that you want a good quality education.
Absolutely.
And you know what that looks like to a certain degree, even if you don't understand all this, you know, standardized testing and all that crap. But you understand that, you know, you want the best for your kids. And, you know, I'm a parent now. I'll do whatever it takes for my kid to have the best.
And there's not many options in Detroit for good schools. You have the lottery system for the charter schools, and they have some good charter schools down there. Like I think it's the Detroit Science and Art Academy along the riverfront near Jefferson Street. That's a good school, but it's on a lottery. They take so many kids in a year, you have to apply, and it's not like the best student gets it. It's just they randomly pick, you know, how many, the X amount of students for that year.
Right.
And if you don't do that, where else are you going to go now?
Where are you going to go?
And you're right, a lot of those, and you don't know if your school's going to close down, because how many schools have we closed down in the last 5 years?
So, I mean, obviously, it's like this huge issue with multiple angles, and I did not set out to cover all of them by any stretch. My film, I think, ended up being under a half an hour. I was lucky enough to get screening at the Mitten, because usually, you know, Connie won't screen something that long, because it's, you know, if your movie sucks, which, I mean, again, I thought my movie was good, but I made it. You know, you got to have a little bit of ego.
Yeah, you're biased.
Yeah, I got skin in the game. I bought that expensive light I was telling you about. Like, okay, what are the things that I can't borrow? A microphone and a light. Everything else I borrowed to make that movie.
Very cool.
But I did it as my thesis project for my master's degree. So there was that part of it, right? You know, getting that piece of paper was writing on it. And that was a whole other experience, because I had a great thesis advisor who gave me all this great advice. My first cut was an hour. He's like, no, too long. Make it shorter and it'll be more interesting. And he was right. But then another person got involved later in the process, and he's like, this is all wrong. I'm like, oh, God.
They call it cutting your darlings.
Yes.
When you have to go and,
yes.
I like this scene, but it doesn't make sense towards the
Right,
story.
I only liked it because I shot it.
Exactly.
You know, and I know how much work it took and how many people I had to like, buy pizza for to get them to come help me.
There was a director, I want to say in the 70s, that coined cutting your darlings.
It's a great phrase.
Yeah, it's called cutting your darlings. I always loved it.
So when I got to the final cut and I finally got the okay to graduate, it was the night that I was going to screen it for all my friends and everybody that was involved. And we used a small space, something like this. We went to above the Berkeley front, which is a little beer garden in Berkeley.
Yep,
where I live.
I know Berkeley front. Absolutely.
There's another like performance space upstairs, and we set up a screen and a projector, and we sold merch, and we had a couple bands come in and play, and it was a lot of fun, and it was a great way to have people see all the work that I had done. After that, it was I was like, okay, whatever happens with this is fine. I just wanted to get through the process. I made a story that I'm proud of. We went to Blue Water, and I won Best Director there.
Very cool. Congratulations.
Thank you. That was a while ago.
It's a good film festival.
It was a great.
It was a good film festival.
For your
point out for your homies.
But what was really cool as a documentary filmmaker, and you probably know this. I was so in the directors are always kind of in the background, but I'm so in the background that the movie screens, we walk outside, and we had some promotional posters we made, and like people were asking Marcellus, who had just graduated from high school at the time, for his autograph. And I just thought that was like the coolest thing in the world.
That is cool.
It was really neat to see that.
So let's see what you have. Wheat Kings. Real quick, what is Wheat Kings?
A feature screenplay.
Yeah, it's a feature screenplay that I wrote, and that got a little bit of traction on the festival circuit. There's even less festivals for scripts than there are for films.
I've never been to a script festival. To be honest.
Well, usually it's part of a film festival. They'll have a script competition.
Really?
But they only pick one winner. Like when it's films, there's different categories. So I got some like third places and stuff, but that's never enough to get you to talk to an agent, which is really what I would need to do with this feature. I would love to shoot it myself, but it would take budget because I'd want it done right. But it was a fun project to write, and now it's just kind of sitting there.
And then the next one is Ménage de Trois.
Ménage de Trois.
That was...
They get a little bit more risque as we
Yeah, they really do.
That was just a basic love story about two people, and then a third one comes in. It was another comedy.
Very cool.
Yeah, we did that for a 48.
Oh,
that was a 48.
And then,
do we even want to mention this last one?
Yeah, period piece. That's fine.
Period piece, I had the fortune of writing. It was for a 48, and my next door neighbor, this was the last thing he did before he moved to Kalamazoo with his now doctor wife. And we're still great friends. We're going up there this weekend to celebrate his daughter's birthday. But he said, no, we have to do a 48. I said, man, I just don't want to do it. He's like, how about you write? I'm like, okay, fine. So we got together, and we hadn't yet found out. They always give you a genre in the 48. So
yeah, they usually
horror, comedy, or silent film.
And the worst one to get is
a period piece.
Yes, and at the same time, they don't only give you a genre; they usually give you a prop, right?
Got a prop.
Sometimes a location.
Line of dialogue.
Line of dialogue.
And then character name, which I think is the worst of the requirements.
The character name?
Yeah, because they're always crappy names, and everybody's using it.
And there's no point to...
There's really no point. But whatever. We used the name.
And the reason why they give you this stuff is because it's a competition. You have to create an original project
based on those elements.
Based on those elements, and they know that since you don't know that, it's an original.
Right. That you just came up with it.
Yeah, like you have to write around.
It's not always done that way. You sort of have an idea
objects
going on, and then you try to make that fit into your idea.
So we actually started talking about ideas before, they said, okay, 48 starts now, and we said, this would be the worst. I don't want to do a period piece because it requires costumes, and like, where are we going to get those things? So I said, well, that's still flexible. What if we made the period the 1980s? I mean, that's still a period, the 80s. So we ended up not getting that, and we got comedy. I'm like, oh, so what? We're still going to keep our idea. And without getting into graphic detail, there's a comedy that unfolds around the period. And this guy is dating a girl for the first time, and she was formerly a gymnast. And that. If you want.
Okay, then.
Very interesting. So what's in the future for you? As we wrapped up the show here, what's in the future for you? What do you plan on doing?
That's a radio station, obviously.
Yeah, the radio station. We've got a couple of things going with the two different radio stations. A guy from my group right now has been working on a short that he's writing. He wants me to DP because he wants to direct it, but I'm assuming we'll be shooting that in Kalamazoo because that's where he lives now. So that would be fun. You know, anytime we can get together and shoot, we try it. And then I really want to write another feature. That's kind of what I'd like to do next.
Very cool.
Just so that I can have a portfolio. You know, one feature is great, but you know, you really need 3 or 4, I think, to round out your portfolio.
Is there a place that anybody can find your work if they want to look for it? I know that we found Hooked on YouTube.
Vimeo.
Oh, what Vimeo? Sorry,
It's Vimeo.
Vimeo. Sorry.
Yeah, most of my stuff's on Vimeo. Some of it right now is password protected just because we're waiting on festivals. Film festivals don't like you to have your stuff just out there because then why would people come sit in their theater to watch it?
It was one of the rules of the Detroit Windsor International.
And I get it. So, but like Hooked, we're definitely going to unlock that one.
That's great. It's really funny.
They can all be unlocked. So
Yeah.
I would say check me out on Vimeo. I do have a website, which is just jeremyolstyn.com.
Very cool.
It'll be down here.
Yeah, and I usually put my links on there.
Great. Well, thank you for showing up. And this was a lot of fun talking to you. And I know you and Lucas talk film. It's nice to have a fellow radio person on, though. I don't usually get to talk to someone like that on the show.
Right.
So that was actually really cool. Before we go,
we look forward to your annual radiothon coming up in May. What was that again?
May 11th through the 15th.
May 11th. How can they find more information if they're on the internet about it?
WPHS.com.
So check that out during May. Those dates he just said, because I don't even remember what he's just said now.
Yeah.
But check it out. There'll be like a lower third or something. Corey knows what he's doing here. This is the next thing we have to address.
Geek Fan Expo 2015. We need it to be a thing. Last year was a lot of fun. We need your help. We put out a couple of videos this past week of myself and Lucas and of the VoxVii crew.
I thought they were funny.
They are pretty darn hilarious. You can find information on those on therackshow.com as well as geekfanexpo.com. That will tell you everything you need to do to try to help it be a thing. Make a video, about a 30-second, tell people why you're a geek and why Geek Fan Expo should be a thing with the hashtag IamGFX.
Sure. Yeah, IamGFX. Do it.
And geekfanexpo.com.
Absolutely. We're also going to be at Midwest Media Expo April 10th, 11th, and 12th. Come up and visit us. Say hi. We have a bunch of...
We're doing something every day.
Yeah, every single day. It's going to be cool. We have a... Can we make some announcements now?
Yeah, sure. We can do some,
right after...
On top of the dual shows that we do every convention.
Yeah, so the first rack show at the convention, we're going to be doing this in a room somewhere right after opening ceremony.
Yep.
I believe it's in panel room 1. I'm just going off the top of my head.
I don't know.
The second day is, I believe, at 11 or 11:30. Right? It's real early. It's Conrad's fault. So we're going to be doing our second rack show that day. And we also have a producers panel. If you guys think this is what you... And the students out there, if you think this is something you like to do, come to the producers panel. It's on Sunday. It's going to be at least Corey. They might get me on it.
They'll get Lucas on it.
It's early on the Sunday morning.
You're going.
And what
you're going.
And what you can do is you can come, you can ask questions on how we do this stuff, how to get out on YouTube, how to promote yourself the proper way. And if you have any other questions on what we're doing or what other people are doing, we're going to try to see if we can get some other
we can almost guarantee there'll be other
producers.
people on this panel. We just can't announce them because we haven't spoke to them yet. But there is no reason for them not to show up, pretty much, unless they are, just detained for some reason.
And if you're going to be at Midwest Media Expo and you're a producer, give us a call. So there's that. And then one of my favorite things.
Super Geek Quiz Off is happening on Friday.
Friday at night.
In the evening-ish, kind of. Basically, that'll be for about an hour and a half.
Conrad, what is Super Geek Quiz Off?
Super Geek Quiz Off is where we take teams of people and they show up and they basically answer questions and we find the geekiest geeks, the super geeks, if you will, of a convention. And they win fabulous prizes.
Yeah. And we're going to put the cherry on top on Sunday. The last thing we're doing is a 2-hour super duper special hosted by The Rack Show.
It's The Rack Presents Pod Apocalypse.
So we're going to get all the other podcasters on at Midwest Media. We're going to create this Voltron-ish panel of a bunch of people, and we're hoping we can make you laugh for at least half the time.
Cornucopia of talent, basically. We're going to stick them in front of a microphone, and hopefully we'll be able to not talk over each other enough that we put out some pretty good content. We know these guys, we BS with these guys off mic, and it's fun. So I can only imagine what we do when we're actually trying to be funny.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of content for you guys to see if you come to Midwest Media and get your VoxVii goodiness. Thank you once again, Jeremy Olstyn.
That's it.
I'm Lucas.
And I'm Conrad, and we're pointing at this camera now because Corey is telling us to. Thank you so much for watching The Rack Show, which again, you can find on our YouTube channel, VoxVii. Again, also go to VoxVii.com and TheRackShow.com. Thank you so much for watching Season 3, Episode 2 of The Rack Show. Have a good one.
Peace out.
Thank you very much. Lee Gaddis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gaddis.
You were here with the Detroit Tabletop Gaming League.